this lens is extremely good, and I mean really good. So let's break this video up into two major sections. Let's talk about video use versus photography use. So let's start with photography, because this is a topic that I hardly talk about if you know me and spend a lot of time with me. And that's mainly because my company is more video centric. That's not to say we don't do photography, but we're just a video first company. And I couldn't help but speak about this mainly because the results are just blowing me away when it comes to photography with this new Samyang 35 to 150mm lens. So let's start with some of the positives when it comes to photography. Usually I am only interested in taking photos of people. However, this lens has made me see the joy in taking photos of other things outside of people again. It's generated that interest in me again. Things that I normally wouldn't be interested in, such as bugs, trees, leaves, flowers, birds, etc. Having that 150mm option really makes you think and behave differently with the lens when you zoom all the way out to 150mm, but the lens makes you adapt to a lot of different situations because of this. And I think Samyang really promotes this lens as an all-in-one, all-arounder lens. And honestly, for photographers, I have come to conclude that that is exactly so. One con I can really talk about with photography, and that's really the fact that it's not wide enough for certain situations. For example, let's say you are a real estate photographer. That's going to be the fact of the matter. Despite how good this lens is, you will want to be wider for a room to capture the entire essence, and you will need another lens like a 16mm or an 18mm on hand for something such as real estate or vlogging. And that brings me to the second con, actually, and I guess it depends on your point of view, but the lens is heavy. It's a girthy, I mean, this thing is girthy. And so the more you hold this and the more you use it, you will start to feel it. And honestly, you're gonna need a bigger bag to even hold it as well too. And so I think that having something of this size is gonna definitely add a lot more challenges to your workflow if you weren't already prepared for it in any way. Now the trade-off, I feel, is pretty fair because you're getting so much in a single lens, but it is something that you want to be aware of when getting the lens. It may require you to get a different bag or expand your existing one. Now, let's talk about video for a moment. And a lot of what I've mentioned already holds true for video, but the lens creates a visually appealing image and it's ultra sharp. In fact, it's a bit too sharp for me personally, and I would try to soften it in post. But the main concern for me was the low light, and I must admit the low light level of detail you get and the minimal noise you get in a dark situation is absolutely phenomenal. I mean, it's great. It's ridiculous. I can't believe it's this easy to get this kind of result without doing any post-production. Mainly because of that 2.0 at 35mm, you can technically push it like to 40mm, you know, estimated, and you can still stay at 2.0, and that wiggle is nice for when you turn on active steady shot with the Sony camera and you can get that crop. You can still be at like 40mm and you have that 2.0 aperture. I don't know the technicals, and maybe others are talking about it out there, but I can assure you that this is some new technology going on in general. So that's a lot of positive. Now I do want to be realistic and kind of talk about some of the true video challenges with this lens. And honestly, it really comes down to heavy, bulk, and really this lens is kind of flashy. So let's talk about heavy for a minute and the bulkiness. So because of its weight, you will find this challenging to use on a gimbal. Granted, this is a photography lens and not a it's not a cine video lens. Most of us are used to using photo lenses for video, but you can tell they were thinking more heavily for photography when crafting this lens. It's extremely sharp. It's perfectly clinically digitally sharp, whereas a video sitting lens has a lot more character and has more imperfections on it on purpose to create a vibe and to create a look and a style. But many videographers may skip out on this lens because of its weight and its stature to be on a gimbal. Now that's not to say you can't throw it on a gimbal, but you will either have limited movement or you may need to upgrade your gimbal due to the size. I did test it on my DJI Ronin RSC2, and due to the size, there were a few moments that just aren't possible because the lens hits the arm of the gimbal and simply you just don't have enough clearance. It can't move the way it needs to freely. So lastly, the final con that I want to mention is, well, this depends on your point of view really, but the lens is very visible. So if you like minimal and discreet shooting experiences, then this lens will be hard to keep discreet in a very small bag or even on your side. The lens is very professional looking and it is very pleasing to look at. So many clients may find that to be attractive, and it will be nice for them to watch your work or to see you at work. They can pretty much see that you've invested in your equipment, but some people just don't like that kind of attention, and I definitely want to mention it. You know, we all know that bigger the stuff doesn't mean the bigger and the better the video will be, but unfortunately that is the perception of many clients. And so if they see you using this, they are going to think that they're going to get a better result from you because you're using this. So pretty much to summarize, this lens for my workflow is absolutely a game changer. I'm excited to have this on my wedding shots. My plan to get around some of these challenges is to really get some type of easy rig or back cable mount to kind of hold it over my head really. And that way I don't have to be holding this lens for so long. It's probably not good to be holding a 20-pound rig for an extended period of time, like 10 to 12 hours. It's gonna be really bad on your back and body. But that's pretty much everything that I have to say about this lens. Let me know in the comments if you guys have any questions or are thinking of getting this lens and how you plan to use it as well. I'm really curious about like how you guys plan to use this or what you have to say about it. I hope you guys are having a great day, a great week, a great month, great year. Stay positive. CB Cinematics out. See you guys.